Hey, yo. Dark skinned Dr. Doom with a PhD in hood chemistry, AK fucking. Hey. Back again with another episode of the PT Podcast, episode 3, with my compatriots and associates.
It's James Valor, the High Note Bandit. I'm here conversing with
Sayashi. You already know what it is. That's all I got.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, man.
This episode, we're doing this without headphones. So, if we sound a little weird,
That's why.
blame our audio technician. Send hate mail to at Young Pocket Change on Twitter.
Terry lazy ass.
I don't know what he allergic to, but I'm going to find out and just send him all of that. If it's peanuts, make sure that man have a mailbox filled with peanuts. I'm on him. I'm going to just put peanuts in everything. I'm like, this burger tastes like, yup. You know it. Poison. Poison! Anyway, today I wanted to talk about discrimination versus diversity and how it affects our culture. Because I feel like, especially nowadays, there's such a thin line between, like, people trying to appreciate different cultures and people really, like, people almost mocking these other cultures and people of these other cultures for reasons that are outside of their control. So I want to start off by asking, do you guys think diversity is needed in society and specifically in small societal groups?
Yes, because it's it could help or hurt, but I feel like people being different is always needed. There's always that, because like you get to see things from multiple perspectives. If everybody was the same, that'd be kind of boring and problematic also.
Explain what you mean by diversity, because I'm stupid.
Diversity, like people having a group filled with people from different walks of life who've experienced different things and different, I guess, paths and experiences, most of the time expressed by racial diversity.
Yeah, diversity is important to have, because, like, I don't know, a lot of people come from, like, a lot of different walks. It's almost impossible to, like, not have diversity, you know?
I feel that. So you're saying, like, regardless of the person, like, the people who engage in these jobs will automatically be diverse.
Yeah, unless, like, they've been fucking pounded by society into not, like, thinking for themselves, you know?
I feel like not thinking for themselves is really not, like,
thing.
not applicable in diversity.
Yeah, if it was a carbon copy, that would be like.
Plus, more often, diversity is caused by, like, different circumstances and different environments rather than willingly being diverse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think we can choose to be a diverse group of people. We kind of just are or aren't.
Mm-hmm. Nobody's born the same.
I asked that to say, like, let's say there's a small group of game designers and game developers. And let's say they're all white, they've all lived in the same area, they all grew up together, and they make a game. What's to stop them from making just as good a game as a group of ethnically diverse game developers?
Well, I feel like I would need more to that question, like just outside the race, because like what if they had like a different, like developers from a bunch of different like failed companies or stuff like that, or just they have a developer that's really old and they have one that's new, and it's just like I feel like it would help in the sense of there were certain things that were tackled better because someone on that crew had the knowledge. And with diversity, I feel like, and extends to race too, like I feel like that what's important is that knowledge and that experience, because like you don't, like if you are lacking that area, that particular person probably excels in that area but lacks somewhere else where you exceed as well. So that's what.
When I asked, I meant more so racial diversity, like in a sense of having like people from different cultures who've been raised in different ways together in the same environment. What are you about to say?
So you mean actual, like, cultural diversity instead of racial diversity?
I guess I say racial diversity because people, especially when it comes to like jobs and employment, strive for racial diversity and will sometimes hire like a black person who has the same accolades as a white person for racial diversity to say, yo, I have this token black person.
Mm-hmm.
Our company's diverse.
Right.
Which means
making a quota.
They kind of look past the culture and more into the race, even though the culture is really what funds that diversity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really consider that diversity. Like, I don't know. Like, it's diversity but forced in a sense. Because, like, you're just picking a nigga over a white person just because they're a nigga. You know?
But, like, to like what you said. There are plenty of diversity being as prevalent as it is now is definitely apparent, like in certain mediums like writing and movies and stuff like that, because before it was just a writing room full of white guys writing for a black guy, but now there's like a black dude in there, a Spanish person in there writing for these people that we're now focusing on, and these different circumstances that we're now focusing on, that probably had a cousin that went through domestic abuse or something like that, and stuff like that. Not to say that a certain race will experience that more than other ones, but I mean just experience wise.
Do they experience with these stereotypes, and because stereotypes are often funded by real stories,
Yeah,
and that these things are really things that happen more often in certain cultural groups than others,
yeah.
which is perfectly understandable. I feel like that's not offensive. So would you say that there's a line of going too far to be diverse?
Yeah, because like I said before, like forced diversity is like I see it a lot. Well, not I see it a lot, but like it's seen a lot like when it comes to like college and shit like that. Like I forget what it's called, but it's like where they purposely like had a quota to get like this affirmative action. Yeah, like where they purposely needed this amount of like of black students in the college, or any person of color in a college for it to reach a quota and stuff like that. And like, and especially like white people feel slighted about that a lot of times because they feel like it's like a spot that's taken away from a white child just because they needed a person of color.
Now, do you feel like that's giving that person of color opportunity to shine despite the odds and giving them an equal opportunity, or do you feel like it's superficial and that this opportunity is almost like damned because of this forced diversity pick? Like, do you feel like people should be proud to be a person who's picked for diversity, or should you feel like, damn, they only picked me because I'm black, not because I'm more skilled than the other contestant?
You could definitely feel that way, but I feel like a foot in the door is a foot in the door. Like, you got there, so what you make of whatever you want of that situation.
Yeah, it's especially like I can understand like wanting to achieve something like that on your own merit, but you also gotta realize like being the fact that we're black people and we're in like white America, essentially, like I don't know, there's a lot of odds that are stacked against us inherently because like we're black, and like not even really because of anything that we did as like individuals. So it's like when it comes to stuff like that, I personally would just take it because like college is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
If these niggas trying to give me a full ride just because I'm black, shit, I'll eat some watermelon too. Like,
okay, but don't say that.
Don't say that.
Trying to get us canceled, bro. Don't do that. I forgot what I was gonna say now.
I'm so tempted.
Do you think that like it's worth? Do you think the benefits of these? So what you're saying is like the benefits of these picks are still beneficial regardless of the circumstances, and regardless of like almost, how do I say, like almost the degradation of being like this guinea pig pick.
in some aspects, yeah. Like I don't know. Sometimes it could be more negative than other times. Like I can't really give it a specific like example, but I do know actually. I'm gonna reference one of my favorite shows in the world, Degrassi. And Degrassi, there's this one episode where Liberty got picked to be in a sorority to be like the token black girl essentially, and it's like I forget why I was referencing this part, but like she pretty much left on her own merit because like she found out that she was like the token black girl and stuff like that. She didn't want to be like seen as the token black girl. Yeah. But it's just like. It all depends on your own personal values and stuff like that. Because, like, if I get picked to go to college, me personally, again, college is expensive. And I'm poor. Like, I'm taking that.
Now, to switch to a different aspect of diversity, because earlier we were talking about, like, the game developer example of a team composed of all white game developers versus a team composed of ethnically diverse game developers, and if they'll make the same game. And James was saying that, like, a diverse work history is what's more important in these situations than a diverse ethnical history of like companies hired and stuff like that. Would you say that consistency isn't the way to go then? So like when it comes to work diversity, should you try a bunch of different things, or would you be more likely to pick somebody who's done the same thing skillfully over a set period of time?
That's a very good question, and honestly, it depends on the medium and like 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 situation. Because like if I was a director, say I was a director and I had to choose between two fight choreographers. One guy has a long successful career, but the last couple of movies he's done have kind of just been stagnant, like stunt wise and all that type of stuff. And then we have someone who's new, who just got into like who was I'm using this because I talked about it last time. Who was like a stunt man and he wants to try and do this film and he feels like he can genuinely do it and he's just asking for a chance. Now I said the situation thing also because if it's like I had me as a director, I've had a terrible track record and I'm looking for this movie to be like my saving grace, I might go with the more unpredictable option. But like if I have a string of successful movies already, I would probably go with the vanilla stunt guy just to play it safe. But if I need this to be a hit and it was a young or new stunt dude or just maybe someone who's not young particularly or just new to stunts and doesn't have the work history but thinks they can really do a good job, I might try to choose that unpredictable aspect.
Mm-hmm. Like it's just like that unpredictable aspect, like could be the one to bring like fresh ideas to the table and stuff like that.
New way of shooting things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you think diversity is almost like rewarding taking a chance?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like that's kind of what it, because these are now people who didn't have that chance. Like large like companies and all that stuff were kind of prioritizing white people and certain types of white people, and now it's just kind of opened up. And now that you open up the gates, you don't know what you're gonna get. It could be really good, it could be really bad, but the really good stuff kind of tends to float to the surface.
Okay, let's say you're making a movie. Your movie's all but done. You just need the soundtrack done, and you have two composers you're about to pick from. One composer has done good work consistently only for romance movies. He's been called. He's the guy to call for every romance movie, and this movie has elements of romance in it. But this movie also has various other elements and various other types of scenes. And there's another composer who has done easily as consistent work with different genres going from romance into these movies, not particularly stand out to make him a staple of that genre, but enough so to have experience in a variety of different situations and different scenes. Which one would you pick?
Personally, like I don't know, it just like really relating back to diversity. I would just personally pick like whoever's like track record or like sound like matches what I'm trying to go for the movie. Like if I'm going for like a movie with like a heavy romance plot or something like that, I'm not gonna go for like I don't know someone who did the soundtrack for Blade Runner or anything like that. I'm gonna go someone who has that sound or has the ability or like think they can do like the ability to like make my soundtrack the best.
I don't know. I would go with the guy that's done like mid-grade different type of genres only because I feel like he might want it more. I feel like he might try to show out. But the other option would probably have like some pluses too if I have something that has subtle notes of romance in it, because then even though those moments will be far and few in between, those moments will hit a lot harder. So it would depend. It would really depend. So I can't say.
I personally would pick the romance guy because I feel like in this situation, diversity might not necessarily be a great thing, and this man has been consistent despite like given circumstances. And I feel like because of this, maybe he's the hungrier one of the two, the person who wants to show that he's not just this romance guy and he's open to the chance of diversity rather than the person who seems to already be diverse. Right. Which is kind of what I'm saying in this argument as a whole and kind of like my stance on it, because I feel like diversity is definitely I feel like needed more on a societal standpoint than from actual efficiency standpoint, because like it all comes down to the individual and their experience and how diverse their experience is, even in occupations typically dominated by a certain demographic. I feel like it still depends from person to person, which I mean, diversity means that the people who have the potential to be as good in different races and in different situations do get their picks and their says and still get to show their examples of how skilled they are and how professional they are as well. But like sometimes it also just comes down to the individual and to the person and to the experience and to the task. I feel like there's so many variables that diversity is being pushed in without first focusing on the individual and just pushing diversity for diversity's sake. Like, I feel like a good example of this is Kamala Khan in the Avengers, first Muslim Avenger. And I absolutely love Kamala Khan. I feel like she's a great character. And I feel like Amadeus Cho was another pick for, like, diversity in comics. It's both new characters, both fairly new characters. They're now starting to get more along the age in comics. But I feel like there was a time where diversity was definitely pushed in comic books as a whole. And to see how it affected that as a genre and how some of it was met with backlash because before writing, they put diversity. And before interesting situations, they put diversity. What'd you say?
I'm one of those people that kind of thought that was kind of whack at the moment.
But then I feel like I preach diversity, and I feel like diversity is always a good thing. But then there's sometimes where you focus too much on it, you lose track of the goal when having a diverse cast of people. And is it really worth it at that point?
I think what you're like talking about is like the whole thing where like for a while like comics and like a lot of media seem to be pandering towards like certain audiences. I guess like what you said with like the diversity in comics and shit like that. Like people thought that they were like really pandering towards like, you know, black people and stuff like that because like they came up with like a whole bunch of like not new black superheroes, but black superheroes under the mantle of like legacy superheroes. Like people thought that Miles Morales was pandering, which I feel like he was too, in a certain extent. Like I don't know, I feel like they shoveled in like the fact that he was bisexual and like kind of for just no reason. But like there is like a lot of stuff.
When was that?
You didn't know?
No,
that
he's
Miles
not.
Morales
He's
was-
not. It was a statement. She was saying that he could be bisexual.
Oh,
but
okay.
He's not bisexual.
Yeah, I didn't read too much into the Miles Morales comics. Haven't fell into comics for a
Let's talk
while.
about my boy Miles Morales. We can fight after this
Miles Morales
podcast.
is
I mean,
cool as hell, bro.
but Aqualad's gay, and I was just like, okay.
Oh, he is?
I didn't know that's where we were going, but all right, cool.
I feel like that's a different type of diversity that sometimes is overstated. But I get it, especially with like the emergence of the like increase of trans people. I guess because now as society is changing, more people are open to this, and it's becoming a more widespread thing. Not to say these people didn't feel how they felt forever, but it's now emerging into being a new thing. Like even when I was in high school, there definitely was a lot more trans people than the years before, and that's dope. Like I fuck with it. Like if you feel like you want to be away, bro. I don't care if you say you will. There's a lady that married a roller coaster, and like she can do her. Like genuinely, it doesn't matter to me. But at the same time, I started to see it being in media as well, and almost like a rebellious sense, like, oh, I'm this way, regardless of how you feel about it. And a lot of people do feel the way about it, but a lot of people also don't. I feel like that diversity is needed in some circumstances, but not every circumstance. Not every circumstance needs to be made about this thing and about the emphasis on diversity if it doesn't need to be and it doesn't affect the story in a way that helps you tell that story.
I don't think I had anything to say about that, but yeah.
That's kind of what I was gonna say. I think when people get mad, it's like when you're just trying to make a black character and not a character who happens to be black. And I think that's where a lot of people just like, all right, well, now you're just pandering. I'm not gonna like this character as much. But if you add something personal into that, or something to make him feel like a person and not just a character, or just like a mantle of some or a representation of something, that's when black people and other people of color can really connect to that thing and make new heroes. Don't put it under a mantle. Don't make them have to live up to something. Just make new heroes. There are other ways of becoming a superhero. There are other places. So there should be no excuse for that.
I feel like that pretense of like now knowing that this isn't a standard, having to make it, shine all the more is kind of like corny in some sense. Like it seems disingenuous when you try to force this diversity pick. Like, wait, hey, look at me. I'm Rakid, the new African American superhero. Like that shit corny. Like
Yeah.
I feel like a good example of this was Static Shock, because Static Shock felt so genuine to me, especially as a black teen. Like I felt like Static Shock was a reflection of my lifestyle. We did a lot of the same things. Like it was genuinely approachable and relatable to African Americans without having the need to be. He was Static Shock and Virgil and balanced it all well without having to. And there was even like episodes about his identity as an African American and going to see his roots and the importance of it and cultural and real cultural diversity. And his best friend was white and had no problems. Like that was the bull. Like it was such a good show in terms of showing racial diversity that like the attention to detail, I feel like to making accurate representation starts to lose to trying to make it marketable to that race, which I feel like is getting further away from the diversity I feel like we're supposed to be looking for.
Static Shock was definitely like the cartoon itself was just really important. Like I didn't realize it until like I was an adult, but like it touched upon like real issues in a diverse way that didn't come off to after school special, you know? Like that episode where like they found out that Gadget Richie, his name was Richie, right?
Richie,
Yeah. That his dad was racist. That shit was crazy.
That shit hit my soul, bro. I felt so sad for him.
For real. And like another thing that when you said about forced diversity that I thought of was on in Endgame where the whole girl power scene where they all just magically appeared together.
Realistically, Captain Marvel could have just flew through that part of the fight.
Captain Marvel, like they scaled Captain Marvel's power like really weird. Not
you just did that like 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You don't need help anymore.
Yeah. I feel like it wasn't about the help. It was about showcasing these characters in general, which I feel like they could have definitely just showed them with the other people, like with the characters they were seen with. Not to say that like they have to be in pairs to be seen, but like you were already in these groups. Like for you to all band together and y'all don't even really know each other for
right,
real.
it's just
Exactly.
magically like how did you know to convene right on this spot right
Like
this
and
second?
y'all don't even some of y'all have never talked before this.
Look,
Right.
let's be realistic here. Girls on a whole be catty, so it ain't no way all of y'all gonna get along just off
Hey,
rip.
listen, bro, don't say that.
Hey,
Listen,
man,
maybe.
it's true.
I definitely think like. Also, like, how did they know who was enemy, who was ally? Like, just thinking back, because if I saw was Mantis, you definitely an
I'm
enemy.
shooting her ass.
I'm
What the
shooting.
fuck?
It's definitely on site. Like, I wasn't gonna stop and think she might be on our
She
side.
might be a hero. Hell no.
She
Like
catching these hands. She
And
put
I
a
just
giant to
saw
sleep.
a big purple man fold half of our forces.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to stop swinging? You tripping?
Thanos was a menace, bro.
Like for real, he was easily one of my favorite villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if not my favorite.
He was probably the best villain.
Because he was
He
so
was the best
saucy. Like, I feel like he definitely, and Josh Brolin himself, even while doing Cable, cemented himself as with a legendary performance. He really made these movies. Like, without him, Infinity and Endgame, the stakes would
they
not
wouldn't
have been the same. When he finessed Gamora, it was just,
That was hilarious.
he said, oh, I knew you would cry for me. I'm like, yo,
Bubbles. Bubbles.
this man just balling. If the
Bubbles.
Infinity Rocks had VVs, this man would have dropped the hottest song ever.
Two things. My example of forced diversity in a really just weird way. Well, I kind of have two examples. And speaking of it, because speaking of like Marvel movies, that whole crusade of give Captain America a boyfriend, and they were saying like, they were saying that his actions for Bucky were reading deeper, and that's kind of problematic because it's just like that kind of puts it puts a weird narrative on certain things. Like, dude legitimately just lost the one of the two people alive from his era that were close to him, and the other one he thought it was one, and now he realizes his best. Well, wait. Because I'm thinking about the end of this. Well, basically, this is his best friend from this time, and he's being convicted of being a criminal and stuff. He's trying to keep him safe. It's not like on some romantic stuff. Like, and they never
just the
noted to
bro.
that. That's just the bro.
This is the last thing I'm going to say about this before we move on to the next topic. But to be fair, that's a little questionable. To me personally, just because you went to a lot of lengths to protect Bucky from the world. Like, that's your best friend, cool. But you fighting presidents of whole nations. This nation is now your enemy. Like, if T'Challa was petty, R.I.P. the Bull, like, he really could have banned you and said, give me Captain America. He has my father's killer. Like, I could definitely just set this bitch on fire until I get this man. Besides the fact that he also wronged a lot of people. Like,
Well,
he did get set up for the bombing with his father's killer, absolutely, and he didn't know that. But before he really had evidence that he didn't do it, and not just 100 about his character, because he was a sleeper agent. He definitely could have been made to do this. Like,
no, he was.
Yeah,
he did do that.
Wasn't he under like?
He was.
No, I
he,
thought Baron Zemo did it and then framed him and then found out he was a sleeper soldier.
Oh no. Barry. Wait.
He definitely did all that shit. But he
Oh
was,
nah,
he-
you
he was-
tripping?
he was
then.
under like Hydra brainwashing.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about that, boy.
Nah, but that's
No, I mean, like,
that's
as-
just unfair because he didn't do anything. He legitimately fell off a train. All that time gone. Now I'm a trained killer and I have a robotic arm.
I get what you're saying, but then you also got to think about the realisticness of these events. We know this because we know Bucky and we are seeing the movie. As somebody who thinks in like the people's shoes, I'm thinking about what if this happened to me? I'm damn well not gonna guess what happened to him as a reason to. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know he killed your dad, but he fell off a train and got brainwashed to be a robotic killer by this evil organization no one knows exists, and now has a robotic arm. But he good. He killed your parents and all that, but it wasn't his fault.
Oh no, I'm not defending.
I'm
that,
not
but
believing
just-
that.
I'm just
What?
saying. I'm just saying that
Wait,
was
wait,
boy,
wait,
though.
what do you mean you're not believing it? In the world where we literally have a green man beating up shit that's flying out of portals.
But
Because
listen,
of a
his
radioactive
story is
bomb.
logical. His story makes sense. His story, he had a unnatural chemical reaction. He's the Hulk. I seen it. I don't got nothing else to believe. He got mad one time. I stole the toast. This man green. Like easy. But this story he has, he fell off the joint. He got brainwashed by Hydra and is now a secretly trained sleeper agent with a robot arm named the White Wolf. Like, come on now.
So in the world where we have niggas traveling through galaxies by swinging their hammer and the Bifrost is coming down, mind control is far-fetched to you?
No, not mind control. This specific situation as somebody who wronged him. He killed my parents and you tell me this in response. I'm not believing that. I'm not believing that. And I saw it on camera. He saw a camera of him killing his parents, and you knew. And you expect me to not kill this man?
I mean,
Bro.
the fact that Cap knew and like was like,
he also beat the brakes off him. Like, you should have not touched that man.
Cap definitely
His
did
parents
whoop
was
his ass.
dead. Like,
he definitely did whoop his ass.
he beat the brakes off of him and
Props
said,
to
you want to
Tony.
keep going?
Props to Tony for fighting them two niggas though.
For
Props
real.
to Tony.
He
was
jumped
going
him.
ham.
And he was going, they were swinging hard as shit.
Oh yeah.
He had a headache for 3 weeks after that.
Oh yeah.
He said, God damn.
He went
He
back
got
to
out that
Texas,
suit
like-
with bruises. His body was purple.
Yes, that's the crazy part, bro. They was hitting him in the face, and then when you saw the mask like come off, he was fucked up.
He got in the men's. Definitely legendary. Speaking of legendary, I want to talk about legend status. R.P. the boy Chadwick Boseman. I feel like he definitely cemented himself as a legend in the short time he was here, despite his battle with cancer. Like, was whooping his ass. He was just in between surgeries, still doing what he had to do, and I feel like that definitely cements him as legend status. Even though I think he was before this.
Why do you think he was a legend before this?
Just because I feel like he had the potential. And from the movies I saw from him, I believed in him. I feel like he definitely had, especially when it comes to how you carry yourself in movies, like just hearing even how he talks normally to how, like, to accents he uses in movies and how dedicated he is, and how close to the original he was. I feel like after Black Panther, he was already a legend.
Mhm.
Even though he did many more great movies after this. And he even came back as Black Panther in more movies. But I feel like even then I could see in him the greatness that I feel like is what really cements him as a legend. I feel like it was really what cements everybody as a legend. When Michael Jackson came out, they didn't say that boy gonna be normal. Like
He was
I
fine.
feel like he
hitting them
definitely
notes.
everybody that I think is a legend definitely showed their legend status throughout their journey from beginning to end. Is what I'm trying to say. And so I say that to ask you guys, what do you think makes somebody legendary?
I mean, I don't know. Legendary, you got there's not really like defining criteria for like legendary status. Like it's not like we're playing Pokemon or nothing like that.
Nah, but what do you think?
I don't know. Like I don't know, cause like there's like people who are like legends, but there's also like personal legends in my mind. Like I don't know, Mac Miller's a personal legend in my mind. Like Mac Miller is just that nigga was just the GOAT to me. Fucking Lil Wayne's a legend in my mind. That nigga was just the GOAT.
But these are also two legendary people in general. I feel like Mac Miller is definitely legendary. I feel like Lil Wayne is literally known as one of the greatest rappers ever.
Yeah.
Like you chose two people that are the
Yeah.
people's legends.
Well, that's but you can't really say like because there's some people that they might not be legends to them. Like
Now, I get what you're saying, but there's this thing in battle rap where they're like certain people are all known as the GOAT. And obviously the greatest of all time is a singular title. But there's the people that are in this discussion are already the GOAT. Like you're already in the status of being questioned legendarily. It already makes you a legend in that sense. Like to be questioned to be the top person, you already have to be one of the top niggas in general. Like Charlie Clips, Hollow the Don, are all people, and Loaded Lux are all people who are counted as the GOAT because these are people who have the skill and history to be counted as the greatest of all time.
Speaking of Loaded Luck, you ever listen to watching movies with the sound off by Mac Miller? That
Yeah.
He was Easy Mac with the cheesy
Cheesy
raps. Who the fuck is Mac Miller?
Yo, he really saw us that.
Yeah.
He said with them Nikes on your feet and coming through Blue Slide Park. Yo, he was really saucing that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think it's a multitude of things because to be legendary, it's not really just one thing. Some people choose it like for some people it's through strife, for other people it's from coming from greatness. I think what really is at the center of it is what you do with what you got, and I think that's what makes legends. Like people who just don't take the L or just don't take see this and just go, you know what, I could work with this. Like, you know.
So what you're saying is like how much you make out of what you have is what makes you legendary and the status that you've reached because of that. Mm-hmm. So boom, antithesis question. How far do you have to go to be considered legendary, do you think?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by how far.
Like until when does someone go from unique to legendary? And what's the line that separates that?
I guess what I feel like what really makes you bridge the line between unique and legendary, like it's a very thin line, but it's like I just made that weird ass face like a Furby. It's like, so it's like when you influence other people is what I really feel like when you turn into a legend, because like, you know, you can be unique. Every nigga in the world is unique. You feel me? You're different from me. You're unique. I mean, like when people like I saw you make that face. Like
no. I get what you mean.
No,
when I meant
your point is valid,
when I said unique, I meant more so stand out from others, less so different than others. But I get what you're saying too.
Yeah. Like we're all unique, and like especially like artists in a certain way. But like once you really start to like influence others and change like the landscape of what you like been around, is like when you really like cement yourself as a legend. Like Basquiat and stuff like that. Like after Basquiat came through, like art was kind of like never the same, because like his art wasn't traditional art. This man literally just had schizophrenic scribbles on pieces of paper and shit like that, and like, you know, it changed like the way the world looked at art.
I feel like it's what makes somebody a legend is when it's just that feeling that you get like watching them or as a fan where they do something or like their work just gets so expansive where you're just like, they're gonna be in people's minds for a long time, especially with movies, music, and stuff like that. I think Sam Cooke made that song, Change Going.
Oh, yes, he will.
Apparently, he didn't know that was gonna be a hit, and he never even got to see how big the song got. He died before the song came out, and that song is still that song's like gonna keep him in people's minds for a long time, even people that didn't know him. So I would say that's legendary. Samuel L. Jackson. He did a lot of movies, and like when he's gone, you know, bubble wrap that man, you know, God forbid. But when he's gone, he's gonna have all these things for his kids, his grandkids, other people like to look at and stuff. And he's a meme, like, you know, he's a pretty cool meme.
He likes hentai.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I definitely think one, ironically enough, the Sam Cooke song is about him dying. I don't know if there's somewhere beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but change is gonna come. That change is death.
Yeah.
So
That
like,
changes death.
Oh my God.
like just being frank, being blunt, that change is death. I used to listen to that song a lot when my grandma passed, so I feel like I know it really well. And it helped me accept that change, and that change is definitely something that's gonna come. Like I can't do shit about that, even if I do or don't want it to. So I might as well, you know, accept it. But that's a different topic for a different podcast.
Right.
I personally think that what makes you legendary is when you start to change the genre, specifically comparatively. Like when you can't mention certain things about this genre without comparing you, like, and without you being mentioned in the topic is when you start to change. Like you can't bring up pop and the people who've done the best in pop without bringing up Michael Jackson, even Elvis, legendary. We start to think of the people in these circumstances that impacted the genre, and these are the first names you think of. And you've impacted the genre significantly. You do something differently than someone else in a way that you've pioneered, and other people can follow you. I feel like that's when you really start to tread in the legend status.
Do you think it's possible to be a legend but also be underrated at the same time?
Yes.
Yep.
I think a good example of that is my boy, MF Doom. Legendary rapper, great rapper, but
Fritos and Cheetos.
sometimes he be wildin'. Like
He do.
to be a legend is to understand that your journey is rocky, and not every place you go is going to be a peak. Your journey has to have peaks and valleys. And those valleys are kind of low for him, but
Wait. What do you consider valleys for him?
no, I just think sometimes he took such an experimental take on things that like it starts to be too experimental that it loses me a bit. But that's for me personally. Like sometimes he'll be like Doritos,
Cheetos and Fritos.
You know I need those Anita and Three Toes. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
You gotta respect the artistry, my dude.
I respect the artistry, and then like I'll look up a Genius interview to be like, what you didn't know was Three Toes are the legendary saurian race, and he's hinting that the world is gonna be taken over by lizards. I'm like, what? How did y'all get that?
I didn't think that at all. I
I'm
just
just
thought why
thinking
he
he
say three
weird.
toes.
I thought he lost 2 toes or something.
Yeah. MF Doom is definitely one of the niggas who like people definitely see like a lot deeper things in his raps than maybe there's even there. Like I'm sure he just says shit in music. Just like I'm gonna give these niggas something to think about.
I think that's also kind of like when fandom and like stardom kind of get introduced, because MF Doom isn't a very known rapper like that, but to a lot of people, a lot of hip hop heads that know hip hop, he's regarded as a legend and stuff like that. Andre 3000, he's a legend generally to everybody, but I feel like he's in this bracket of people who are just, I don't know. There are some people who are just
Seem untouchable.
seem untouchable, or just born to be like legends and greats, really, because the dude's so humble.
Bro had a cartoon.
That John was lit. I was mad it got canceled.
Yeah.
If you can make kids be into jazz music, you're doing something special.
For real.
I feel like that's when you start to go into like above legendary. I feel like legend status holds a lot of people, but then you start to get to like
The goats.
the goats.
The goats.
Andre 3000 is definitely in the list of the goats because that man had a MF and TV series.
He is
like-
not Jordan, but he is the goat.
It was definitely different.
He's not doing
Um,
Jamie Foxx as well. I think he's the goat too.
I feel like those are people that pioneer. When you start to pioneer into different genres, but still carrying that same stamp and flag that you had on these other genres, is when you start to really get into the GOAT territory. Because Jamie Foxx was literally an entertainer in such the purest sense that like he could literally do anything and succeed. If he went on a stage and people was listening, he's going to make money. Period. But I don't want to talk about this for too much longer. I'm sorry.
I just want to say that I don't like Jamie Foxx.
You
Okay,
tripping.
we're not
Something
going.
about him is just so punchable.
Yeah, we just don't talk about bad opinions.
For
so
real.
we're gonna say the next question is: do you think being average is a bad thing?
No.
No.
Like, what do you mean by average?
Like to not like everybody that's legendary, the other people,
Huh?
The
Wait, what? Say it
other.
again.
like the people who don't reach the greatest heights, the people who still do this and are average, like the general populace. Because I feel like legendary status and GOAT status, even more, is so few and far between that even though people could put the same amount of effort, time, and skill into this thing and not achieve this, like look at what's his name, Mystical, Help the Bear.
Help the bear.
Like compare Mystical to Drake. You
Yo,
get to see-
shake it fast.
Like you get to see how different it is.
If you see me in
Like no offense, but shout out Joe Button. Like after that one song is Pump It Up. This nigga not legendary no more. Like what happened?
No.
And I feel like these other people are really what pads up and makes up the rest of artistry, and what builds these people up to be legendary. Without these, almost like scalingly average. Not to say that everyone is average, but from average to the other degrees of skill and popularity outside of legendary is what makes these people legendary, because you have these average people to compare them to.
Mm-hmm.
I think being average is definitely okay, but I think we should aspire to be above average, or we shouldn't just take mediocrity, because if you feel like you could do something that's special, why not do it?
Personally, I feel like average is more a status than a brand. Like I'm average now, but that doesn't mean I'll be average in the future. And that persistence is what defines being legendary.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I
now,
mean.
like the people who are content being average are legendary, and or who were persistent and knew that this is not where my journey ends. Are now the people who are legendary, rather than the people who gave up being average are just going to be average forever.
So, is in this like context, is average synonymous with being corny?
Average would just be not legendary. Like average would be anyone who
Hasn't hit
does this
legendary.
skill moderately. Like because I feel like when it comes to being legendary, they're legendary in these fields. Like Andre 3000 is legendary and a rapper. There's a bunch of rappers out there who aren't legendary, who will never be legendary, but still make up this field. Not to say that they're average, but I'm just saying average in terms of like not outstanding.
I mean, it's perfectly fine to be average, I guess. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like everyone like has the ability to be beyond average. It's just it depends on whether or not they can distill themselves down to like being them. Because a lot of people just have like outside influences which cause them to not sound above average. You know.
Okay, so do you say that's true for everybody?
Not everybody, because some niggas are just definitely doo doo.
Some people have just lost cause.
I know some people personally whose music I've heard, and I'm like, yeah, you don't got it. Like, you definitely have that potential to be legendary, just not at this. But do something else.
I think because we've talked about this before at length, and I think for you to be set on the road of being legendary, or for you to get that mode of being consistently trying to do stuff different, it really takes you to be. It takes a humble person to be that way, and that's why a lot of goats, or you can see them, they're like, oh, they're so humble, they're so humble. You have to be humble, and you have to humble yourself. You have to see where you are to know where you're gonna go. So you can't just not acknowledge your faults, or you can't just make a song and just be like, this is kind of good. I fuck with it a little bit. I'll still nah. If you want to try and go the extra mile, go the extra mile because it's gonna pay off in the long run.
That's a good reason that like you well not a good reason like it as good as you mentioned humble because like I see that in a lot of artists where it's like they're not humble and like they think that like what they're doing right now is like their peak. Like a lot of artists they realize that like they have a lot of room for growth, whether it be like actual skill wise or just like sound or like vision wise. Like the way to be legendary, I guess, is to never stop growing.
I think, but at the same time, I feel like that growth is really what fuels you to be legendary. Like, as someone, I personally think I'm, not to say I'm average. I feel like we're now at the point of being skilled individuals. I feel like we're on the road to being outstanding and potentially on the road to being legendary. Definitely, 100%. And I think that, but at the same time, when I was worse than I am now, I was still proud of myself. I was still proud of the things that I was doing on the scale that I was doing them, and accepting that these are the humble beginnings that I'm on, and that's okay. And that for what I'm doing and for how long I'm doing it, and for the level of skill I'm at, this is good. And accepting that and being able to put that in perspective, I feel like is what separates people from being legendary.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being proud of like your works and stuff like that, but as long as like take it to the head and like get too arrogant about it and shit like that.
I feel like that's definitely like a rapper thing as well, because to be a rapper you gotta have thick skin, because if somebody's gonna try to diss you, somebody's gonna try to look at your work critically. They're bars, they're people they're things that can be put under a microscope. So if you try to write it out and you don't feel proud about it, somebody's just gonna tear you down and you gonna get discouraged.
You can just shoot him too.
I don't know what he's talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was saying that I feel like, especially for rappers, that pride is kind of what makes you legendary. I saw this interview and about somebody who thought they were the best rapper, and I think Lil Wayne heard it or somebody. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on this. He was saying he thinks he's the best rapper, but he should like Every rapper alive should think they're the best rapper alive.
Rob Banks said that.
Styles P said that too.
A bunch of people have said this. So
It's the
that's how
mentality.
you know it's true.
It is.
Especially like I remember when I first started making music. Shout out my friend Pierre. He said I sound like an angry fifth grader. And like just repeatedly I would just get negative criticism. Remember I asked this one dude for a feature. He said, "Yeah, that's not it. I'm not. You can have your money back." Is definitely, but taking those criticism and using that as fuel to look at myself critically and constructively is the part of what got me here today. Now we be rapping our asses off, genuinely. So I feel like taking that criticism and how it affected me to heart, but still being able to take my ego away from it and understand that this is something that can still help me grow is a part of what makes people legendary. And that thought process is really what separates, people who are destined to be greater things from people who are content being average. Also, I want to take that chance to move on to the last topic I want to talk about today, which is media effect and how the media affects your life and in general, what we do without it, I guess. Because as artists, media is kind of the product of our faith, hope, and dreams, and really what takes us from being average people to being outstanding individuals. Some people idolize, like Beyonce. People be calling her a god, it's wild, like a goddess. Often, that's wild. To get to these levels just because of this media, I feel like it's interesting. So, how has media affected your life?
Man, media affects my life in a crazy way. I think without media, I'd be bored. I'd be banging rocks together, some shit in the cave without media.
High key.
Yeah, I consume media every day, whether it be from music or a book or just I don't know. Just media is just fully encompassed in life, and without media, life wouldn't be the same. We kind of had no meaning.
It'd be super sad as well because through media, me personally, I've really found, ironically enough, I found connection with people that I don't even know. Just through music and video and stuff like that. Podcasts such as this one, or just videos where people were talking about their experiences, made me feel like I knew them, and it gave me a sense of sense of familiarity and warmth where I couldn't get that in the actual world at certain points in my life. So I definitely feel like media helped me and stopped a lot of bad things as well.
So you're saying it's definitely affected you, helped you keep your path while ingesting media similar to how you feel.
It's helped me keep my path and helped me be a lot better at expressing myself with certain things. Because music is a very good way of expression, and it's a very good way of telling you how you feel. Because you could be listening to a song and you'd be like, "Damn, I really this guy really just told me some shit."
Genuinely, I feel like more than anything, media is a bonding tool between people, and expression in general is a bonding tool between people. Because even one of our brothers, Zach Mercy, is definitely somebody I met because of music. We were friends, but when we got to the point of bonding, the first thing we were talking about was music. He wanted to start rapping. I encouraged it, and now that bond has grown into something unbreakable. And I feel like that's really what media does, is connect people more than anything. You might be able to walk through someone's shoes through a book, or you might be able to understand how someone's feeling and relate that to yourself through a song. Even a commercial, a jingle that's stuck in your head could change your life. I feel like media in general is wild. Name one piece of media that influenced you the most.
You mean in my life?
Yeah. Before you say that, I just want to say the Reese's Puff commercial song.
Boy, that dog fire!
Changed my life.
Bro,
that man was spitting so much heat, I said, I got to get that night.
Reese's Puffs got
bro, you're not going to get...
Yeah, bro. Snoop Dogg who? Reese's Puff commercial kid, drop a mixtape today. Getting that cover tattooed on my left butt cheek.
Why? Never mind.
Don't ask.
So did you say one piece of media or
one
just
piece of media?
Oh, that's hard because there's a lot of media in a lot of different ways, especially when I was a kid that really affected me or influenced my life a lot. I don't know. I'll definitely say when I was an adolescent, I definitely was influenced a lot by Linkin Park and shit like that because that's definitely what I listened to.
100%. I used to listen to Linkin Park, Green Day a lot.
I don't know about that Green Day shit.
Oh, yeah. All right, bro.
Wake me up.
Yo, when September ends, bro, I don't know what the fuck was up with September, but me and him was beefing.
Because I think
He
because
said
like
me and him was beefing.
school was like starting in September and shit like that.
No, I think that's like, I think if you look up like the lyric genius on it, it's like a reference to like suicide or something. I don't remember.
Damn.
Way beyond
I did one
suicide
time.
What's wrong with October?
Yeah.
I guess September
lot.
was the month.
Scary month for real.
Shit.
Today's the day.
What about you, James?
I would give I would say two mediums. But he said that, well, just as a blanket term, I listened to a lot of Panic at the Disco and Earl Sweatshirt when I was an adolescent. Earl Sweatshirt, shirt, 1OK Rock. But the two pieces of medium that I would say probably changed my life or just effectively changed this course would probably be, I would probably say like Halo, because you know it's a video game and it's more about like the people that I play with, the experiences that I have. I'm never gonna forget those memories, and that was another instance of me getting familiarity. I'm playing with my friends; they're not even in the room. Like I'm in my house alone, cackling, loud as fuck, at like 2 a.m. But and another one was, I think I talked about it before on the podcast. The Graduation album from Kanye. At the moment where I got it, my brother had just moved back out, and he left his CDs, and I picked up the Graduation one, and that one was probably like the worst one. It skipped on songs and repeated, but I still listened to it every day in the beginning of like freshman year, just because it made me feel good. So that and the Big Sean album, which was slept on, that was like his freshman one.
Since you said that, like that CD skipped a lot, like, can you listen to those songs the same again? Because like you heard it in a specific format, a specific medium, and you heard the skips and shit like that. I'm assuming it happened like every time you listen to the same songs. So like when you listen to the song, besides like listening to that on that CD, do you expect those things to come?
All right, so I'm gonna tell you the funny thing about that. No, but I have to listen to them. I feel like I have to listen to them in the order of which they're on the CD. Like if I hear one song, I'm gonna be like, all right, now I gotta hear Homecoming, because Homecoming comes up next, and like I'll be like, it'll be silence, and I'm like, dun, 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 dun. But and another thing, it was funny because I had my earbuds in my ear when I was listening to music the other day, and one of them is messed up and it cuts in and out, and I'm like, damn, this sounds kind of cool. I was like, I would high key want to make a song like that where it just be like certain audio effects. Childish did it with the Internet Troll song before he released the regular version of the Internet Troll song.
Yeah, we can do that. That's gating.
Gating?
Pretty sure.
That'd be lit.
We could put some noise gates on your song, bro.
I
You
mean,
got it.
It's just like you can just like mess with the stereo image of like your song to make sure that like.
I would want people to get it though, because I wouldn't want them to get mad. Like,
Nah, bro, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with this?
they gonna be
headphone?
mad, but I'm like, yo, this
I
sounds
love
cool
when
as shit.
people do weird shit like that in music.
James Velour album has suddenly caused sudden returns of the Beats headphones.
Oh, that'd be wild.
That'd be wild as hell.
Do you guys know who the
Wait.
painter? Oh, okay, my bad.
Before you say that, I didn't want to get off topic. I didn't mean to
All right,
Jedi Force talk.
traffic controller.
I was about to say before I forget, because I'm low key already forgetting what was my piece of media.
Go ahead.
Mine were Fort Minor.
Hey,
The
bro, it
band.
was cold spitting.
Remember
Like,
the name?
because it showed me such like a different side of rapping. At the time, my parents were heavy into like old school R&B and old school rap. Like we used to listen to a lot of KRS-One, a lot of Sugar Hill Gang, a lot of Slick Rick, like a lot of really like a lot of Eric B and Rakim, like a lot of real old rap. And it was a lot of the same stuff. And then as rap started to transfer into like the more gangster rap side, my father listened to a lot of DMX, a lot of Method Man and Redman, like a lot of Wu-Tang Clan, like a lot of that shit. So it was like rap was very defined at these times. And I feel like when I heard Fort Minor and what was that song? Remember the Name? Like changed my life. Like I was in my room thinking, like pretending I was lifting weights with a fucking empty plastic suitcase, thinking I was getting stocky, wrestling my Spider-Man toy. Like it really was a different young boy at the time. Like it really taught me that genre changing artists do exist, and that these things definitely are possible and rap is what you make it. And my second piece of media was Kingdom Hearts, which makes me feel soft. Y'all had Halo.
Nah,
Kingdom Hearts definitely changed my
Like, I
life.
said
No.
Linkin Park.
Linkin Park was
Soft,
was alright,
too.
yeah.
I mean,
Linkin Park was
it's
a
funny
big
that
part
you
of
Fort
say
my
Minor
childhood.
was an offshoot of Linkin Park. How
Yeah, I
you
was
gonna say
just
that's
getting ready to say
soft?
Yeah, with Mike Shinoda.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Kingdom Hearts, I never fully played Kingdom Hearts at all.
No, I get that. I wanted to get into it, but I didn't get the game. And I didn't have a PlayStation. I had Xbox. That's why I had played
We
Halo.
only
So
had a
who-
PlayStation 2.
So whose Kingdom Hearts do I have? Is that yours? Cause I have
Maybe.
because I don't know.
I have Kingdom Hearts right now.
For-
Right now, like
I had the PS3 disc. I'm not
Well,
sure.
we're not
That-
about to
that's
talk
probably
about this
mine.
right
Okay.
that's mine. That's
Sorry,
probably mine.
My bad.
now. Kingdom Hearts 2, I feel like really showed the difference of relationships because low-key it was kind of like questionable a little bit how much Sora was looking for Riku. Like, but
Now that's somebody where it'd be questionable, not Cap, but Sora. Yeah,
like he was a little too much. He met his shorty. He said, "Yeah, you know I like you and all that," but that blindfold over there, ooh.
Mhm.
Kingdom Hearts is a strange.
It was,
thing.
but at the time, because my family still never lets me live this down. Now that I'm getting to the age where I might have kids, because I loved it so much. I went to my family like, yo, I'm gonna name my first son Roxas. Oh my god. And oh my god, it's gonna be lit. I'm gonna be Kingdom Hearts Bull.
Edgy as shit.
Edgy and angsty. And they still today my dad talked to me about this. He said, "Oh yeah, what you gonna name your son, right, Roxas?" I'm like, "Oh my god,
Damn.
like you'll never let me live this down. I got better names."
Do you have a favorite quote from Kingdom Hearts?
My favorite quote from Kingdom Hearts.
There's
No,
too many.
but that reminds me of something else that helped change my life, which is Bleach.
Fuck.
I don't care what nobody say. We could fight about Bleach. Period. I had every game. I wanted to import the Japanese games, but I wasn't old enough. Like,
Bro, Hitman Reborn changed my life.
nah, bro. We don't want to talk about that.
What, you tripping? What are you talking about?
It's.
You wild.
I feel like Hitman. I feel like Bleach definitely pioneered the genre.
Bleach was not that good.
You trip.
Bleach was not that good.
Finish what
You
you were
tripping.
saying. What do you think it pioneered?
I definitely think it pioneered the genre of shonen anime. You tripping? You tripping if you think otherwise? Just
Ichigo
because
wasn't.
Ichigo was in general, especially when it comes to angsty, changing of situations,
I don't.
and like being forced to take this occupation. You tripping?
'Cause-
Ichigo especially was so popular around that time, especially in Japan where these things are created. I feel like they had so like literally this artist will be set for life purely off Bleach anime sales, not to count the various like at least like 16 games, like. That's ridiculous amounts. They had games for every genre. They still are making Bleach games.
All I got-
Still, and it's coming out again this year, next year.
All I gotta say about that is I don't think that's true because a lot of the shonen tropes that you see a lot of shonen today didn't come from Bleach or anything like that.
They
Like,
just followed them.
and plus I don't even really think, in my opinion, Bleach is really considered shonen, if at that.
No, yes, it's no.
I think the blend of it is what Bleach pioneered, because of how the going to school and then at the same time you're this secret person was definitely a Bleach thing, and it follows up in anime like Kakaishi is definitely influenced by Bleach 100%. Even though they got so off track from that.
I think that might
Bleach
have
got off
started
track
with
from
like
that as well.
Inuyasha.
That's what I meant. That's what I said.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought you were talking about Kakashi.
Kakashi does get off track, but much later on than Bleach. But that's neither here nor there. I feel like it's about to be a Bleach conversation.
It will be
Fuck
because
Bleach.
I also love Bleach, and it forsook me. And I've had detailed conversations about Bleach, like as you know, an adult, because you get older. Sometimes you look back on stuff and like really see if it hits as much as it did. And on the topic of that, like of it being shonen, like Bleach was definitely very shonen, but it wasn't. It was kind of just hitting the beats. It didn't do anything that was really different or anything like that to say that it pioneered. And it being as much as a prevalent preference as it is now, and it having stuff that comes after is more credited to shonen, like the Shonen Jump magazine that they would do. Because if you got that spot, it didn't matter if your manga was like trash or anything like that. If you got that spot, you got that instant notoriety. There were probably a lot of different other shonen out there that could have changed the medium and stuff like that, but didn't get that spotlight that Bleach did. So that wouldn't really.
Hunter.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
I still haven't finished. I saw.
But I say Bleach pioneered this Not because it was the first to do it or the first to do it well, because it was the most popular of these to do so. Bleach is definitely one of the most popular anime, specifically amongst like U.S. watchers, I believe.
Yeah.
Like especially when it came on at like on Adult Swim, like niggas used to be tuned in. Like people who definitely didn't follow Bleach to that end were so interested in this because it got the spotlight that not a lot of people did, and it was so simple and so simply hit these beats that everybody just was jumping into it. You walk in, you see this boy, he got orange hair, he got a big sword. I'm an 8-year-old who just watched Power Rangers. They swords little, this sword big. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Like that's literally all it took for me.
Well, I agree with you on that because it was really popping. On
So
on
poppin'.
Adult Swim, they ran the Spada arc for like 2 years straight,
But
and niggas was still watching. Niggas
Literally,
was still watching,
still
waiting for new
engaged.
episodes. Like,
Engaged watching, like, and I know the anime is gonna come out soon because they decided they're gonna finish the rest of Bleach and they're gonna air it. And it will
I
be
really hope.
anime.
I don't think they should.
Hopefully with a different ending, just because that first ending. Ooh,
Bro,
let's not talk about
that last arc in general was just, it had good notes, but because it was the end, and this is probably where their what was it, not production company, but their what would be over
animation
them?
studio.
Where the animation studio probably fucked them over because it just seemed like they were throwing a lot of shit at the wall and they didn't have time. Because they were throwing a lot of shit at the wall.
Oh, you
never
mean
mind.
like plot wise?
Yeah, plot wise. I don't want to say anything. I was about to spoil stuff, but
Bro,
It's
that
just
joint ended
wild.
like 12 years
Right,
ago.
y'all
Like,
it was
Spoilers.
all right.
oh,
Well,
like
let's-
spoilers.
no, I'm talking about the manga. A lot of people haven't written the manga.
That's their fault.
If they haven't yet, they're not going to.
All right, that's their fault.
Well,
Period. Last thing I want to say before we talk about our highlighted media for today. What do you guys think makes expression so important?
Expression is so important.
We got super off track about media and the effect of media because we start talking about the media that affected us.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's fine. That still showcases the various different ways media can affect people because firsthand, these things definitely changed our lives. Like I wouldn't be the same person that I am today if not for like say the X-Men. Like if not for these things, it's definitely shaped the person I am, the person I'm going to be for a long time.
Roxas.
Shut up.
Roxas.
Oh, at the time I had a different last name, so it was Roxas Watson. It was so wild. It's terrible.
Expression is important because, like, I don't know, there's a lot of people who the only way they can express like how they're feeling is through like, I don't know, music and shit like that. Like, I know a lot of people who don't, if they don't make music, they'll literally smoke themselves.
no,
Oh.
that's real shit. Without the expression of self, the spirit dies. It's very
Okay,
easy.
bro.
That's why you say it like
You
that?
said without the expression of self, the spirit dies.
It does. Like real shit, especially if you just got some shit on your chest, you keep that in, it's gonna kill you.
So you think expression is a necessary part of life?
Very much so.
Because you keep, if you keep feelings of like anger, they're just gonna turn into resentment on anything because you're gonna be like, damn, I should have. After a while, you're gonna be like, damn, I should have said something because now I'm just stuck with this feeling and there's no way out. It's just I just gotta feel this and it sucks. Except for in moments where you have to take it, yes. Like if something outside of your control happens, yeah, you just gotta take that feeling, or you could express it. But when it's like when you have that option, you should get that out because it's just gonna kill you on the inside.
I think expression is so vital and critical in life. Like, look at Neanderthals, nigga. They was making cave paintings and shit like that. Like that's truly like.
It really wasn't where I thought it was gonna go with this. Look at
I
those
mean-
Neanderthals over there painting and shit.
I mean,
For
am I
real,
wrong
bro.
though? Like, if it wasn't important, we wouldn't have pre-humans like painting and drawing.
I feel like it was more about the act of creation that enthralled them than expression for those people specifically. Like imagine I shit on my hand and I'm like, damn, this shit nasty. I wipe it on the wall and it's a mark. And I'm like, ooh, I didn't know this was gonna happen.
I guess.
And I
but,
just start drawing shapes and I'm like, yeah, nigga, look at this.
I'm a cat now.
I mean,
You saw what I made? Yeah, that's a wheel. I said, what's a wheel? He said, y'all niggas not.
I'm about to fuck y'all brain up
y'all
right
not
now.
Y'all
I mean,
not
it's all
woke. What
about
happened to
how
the
you
wheel?
Look at it, because we also got hieroglyphics and shit like that. You feel me? Like, I don't know. I feel like,
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like that's more about passing down history though.
yeah.
Having recorded history, but I feel like that's what expression is. Recorded history and expression in itself is really just telling me who you are at this state of time and showing me various different emotions and sides of yourself that you choose to show. Almost communication in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Communication that'll last for almost like forever, for real.
How someone expresses themselves, like through a medium or through something, can change how you look at them. Like, I wasn't really like a big Guapdad fan like that, but until I saw his on tour podcast. Is that what the?
Well, the Valentino vlogs.
Yeah, the Valentino vlogs. There we go. But when I saw how he was like as a person, I was just like, well, let me give his music a second shot.
Because he's lit.
No, I knew who. I've seen Guapdad 4000 before I knew of his music, and I was like enthralled with this one video I made. Is him on his birthday.
Yep.
Money was being dropped down on him. The Pokemon theme song was played in the background. I love that video, and come to find out years ago that's Guapdad 4000.
Guapdad was famous on social media before he was a rapper. He definitely has a couple viral videos out there of just him being him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and that's where I feel like legend status comes into play, because I definitely feel like he's going to be legendary if he isn't already, because he does things so differently and does this genre so differently that like you now even see how it affects people. It affects people differently, because he just maintains a level of saucy in a pocket that not others have gotten to.
Do you feel like Future's a legend?
Yes,
Yes.
I feel like Future's a legend.
absolutely.
Everyone
Free
doesn't think
band.
Future is a legend. They need to reevaluate their life.
We need to reevaluate the state of music before and after Future came.
Right?
Like,
That's
for
true.
real.
That's
Like,
true.
genuinely. Future, as much as I hate to say it, Future and Drake really changed shit for...
Oh, you hate to say that Drake changed shit?
No, I hate to say Future and Drake because I knew y'all was going to say something. Because Future and Drake, especially when the time, like, What a Time to Be Alive came out, Dirty Sprite 2 came out, the streets was different. Especially going forward into what people talk about now, I definitely think that
Metro
influenced.
Boomin definitely changed. Metro Boomin is definitely solidified as a legend status.
Ooh,
to
for
me.
sure, for sure.
Metro changed. the
Metro
game.
Boomin had a grip on the game for a minute. Like,
Like a good 4 years.
yeah. If Metro Boomin start popping right now, I wouldn't be surprised.
You can do whatever you want, bro. It's Metro. You got Metro, yo Metro.
Literally. But that's about all I want to get to around the topics for today. Do you guys have any highlighted pieces of media, or do you want me to go first?
ahead.
Highlighted piece of media. I've been listening to fucking Wi-Fi God a lot. Trenches to Riches. Wi-Fi God is not ass.
Mhm,
Don't
my
say
bad.
that.
My bad.
Don't say
Continue.
that. Don't say that.
I've been listening to this band that was composed after one of the guitarists left Panic at the Disco. I'm trying to remember what I think it's like I think the name of the band is They Found Us, and I don't know how. And if you're a really big Panic at the Disco fan, I'd say definitely listen to it, because they have some hints of Brendan Urie's current sound, but how he went in a different direction. You can see where they kind of change it, and it's really dope, because it's like it's different in a familiar way. So I'd definitely say check it out if you're already a fan of that, and if you're not, just do it for shits and giggles, I guess.
I kind of have two this week.
Cheating.
Well, I mean, fight me. One is I've been listening to a lot of Killer Kane recently, honestly.
Killer King.
Specifically his flips on Twitter. I was listening to the Sosa superhero flip. Different.
Leader King.
Like, he definitely sauces his production, and I definitely think he's somebody who's on the road to being on the same similar road of success to us. And I always enjoy our collaborations. I have one of my new project, Immortalized, coming soon.
Plug.
Plug.
Shameless plug.
The last, and my other highlighted piece of media is a book I've been reading a lot called The Second Coming of Gluttony. It's about this man who has an ability to see if things are going to be lucky and fortunate or not, and everything that's fortunate is colored green. And one day he loses this ability and gets caught in stuck in a rut, gambling his life away, but then gets a vision of himself from the future on this different, almost like a different dimension, and his life changes. And the way he goes about his life changes. And he ends up going to another dimension and making a complete different life for himself and making a complete turnover, telling the world and himself, more than anything, that he's not the fuck up that he's been for the last 10 or 12 years.
You always on some super deep stuff. But I want to ask y'all a question.
It's really deep. Like, there's a moment where he goes back to his family, and you get to see the list of the things he did to his family. Like, his sister went to pick him up from a casino. He lied to her, stole her car, traded it in for money to gamble. Like,
terrible.
Crackhead activities.
like
You're not
he was doing his
wrong.
family so dirty, and he was just so addicted to gambling that he was fucking over everybody in his life. There was a girl who literally was going to be his wife, who he just would just steal money from her,
That's
and do her
crazy.
dirty until she just said, "I don't want to be bothered with you ever again."
Crackhead activities.
Like, effectively for gambling. Like, he definitely let it change his life. And then you get to see those same. He almost gets addicted to being a hero in another world. Like, he gets the choice to go back to the real world and doesn't take it. He chooses to stay here and put his life in danger because he's addicted to the gamble of his life. And he has to still fix his habits regardless of where he's at and regardless of what he's doing, because it's going to be in your life regardless.
Yeah, it's gonna flop over. I had a question, but I didn't know if
Shoot.
all right, so back to circle to the legendary. 'Cause I just thought about this. Are there people who have legendary status that you think don't deserve it? Because there are definitely some people that I think.
I think the part of being legendary is that debate. Whether someone deserves it or not is what makes someone legendary.
That's true. That's true.
Because it can be debated, and there's certain people, like if I was like, Blueface is a legend. No, it's not
Not
even a
at all.
debate. Like, come on now, he hasn't distinguished himself enough to be put in this category. But if I were to say like, Method Man is a legend.
Yo,
Absolutely.
That's undisputed.
It's funny that you bring that up because I said this because I thought about the live that I was watching, the Versus live for DJ Premier and RZA, and how people was hyping it up. People was like, "Oh, it's King Kong versus Godzilla." Put it on, bro. Them beats wasn't hitting like that, and they was talking for a
Premier?
good majority of the time. Yes, DJ Premier and versus RZA, them beats was not hitting like that. It was alright, but it wasn't nothing like super crazy as some of the today's producers be doing.
Well,
I feel like that's different from. Ooh, I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. I mean, I was. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking about this last night. Because last night I was watching Poltergeist. I was thinking about. Hold on. I know you looking at me weird, but it's like when like some things are like so ahead of their time that when you look at them or something like that now, they just seem so dated. Like Sonic Adventures 2 Battle or Sonic Adventures 2
That's
in
always
general.
gonna be good.
Realistically, that game was just it was just ahead of its time at that point, I guess. But like when you look at it now, it's like that shit looks so dated. Like their lips aren't matching what the fuck they're saying, you know. And it's like DJ Premier and RZA's their shit is like it was ahead of their time, but it's dated now. You feel me? So of course it's not gonna hit the same.
I feel like that's where things start to separate from being legendary to the greatest, because they're legendary definitely due to the time, experience, and diverse history of what they've done and the work they've made. But at the same time, they wouldn't be considered the greatest because this doesn't age well. It's not timeless. I say this a lot because Michael Jackson is one of my favorite artists of all time, but is also one of the greatest artists of all time. I can listen to Michael Jackson whenever I want to, and it still ages perfectly well. I've been listening to I Can't Help It recently. Like, there's certain times where artists and the state they're in make work that cements them as some of the greatest. And that's definitely what separates people, the legends, from the top. Because legends can be legends purely because of acumen and because of the history they've accredited up to this point. But the greatest will always be the greatest.
It's like what Babe Ruth said in fucking The Sandlot. He was like, heroes are remembered, but legends never die. Like, you know, RZA and DJ Premier, they're heroes, but like Michael Jackson, he's a legend. Like, he'll never die.
He's always going to be regarded.
Well, that concludes the PC podcast. It's been AKA. It's been Ayashi. It's been James Valor. Anything you guys want to say to the people before we leave?
Again, September the 10th, got a project dropping on Birdhouse Recordings. Music for Burnouts. Check it out.
Peace, love, and positivity, man. Keep it going.
You said that last time, bro.
Because I wanted to, bro. Today,
Positivity's out.
Okay.
We just got word from our sponsors. That,
Jerry about to
we
beat
need
us up if we keep talking.
Bro, yo.
DOA out soon. Immortalized out soon. Have a good one. See y'all soon.